Okay, Bannock County Commissioners back in session. Now we're talking budgets, and we have maintenance.
Dan Kendall, Facilities Director. I don't think there was a ton of changes on mine, but I just wanted to go over a couple of things. Would you like to start at the top, Christy Clauser? Is that how you, even with wages, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, super proud of my crew, but I don't know, not everyone can do it, but I'm requesting a step increase on employees. And that was it for that top part, right?
Mm-hmm.
The things that I'm short on is like operating supplies, where we've taken over more buildings. The janitorial supplies come out of that one. So I propose a little increase in that. Where it gets a little confusing, building repairs is another one I'm really tight on. But I wanted to propose that we put some money back into the building acquisition. So I'm sure this needs adjusted a little bit.
What we would do is just put the money in here,
Okay.
because I can't levy out of a trust.
Okay.
So it has to be in here.
Okay.
But what we could do is no.
I just put that chunk in
461's
there.
461's perfect.
Okay. Just all the money that we pulled out of it, I just thinking we better think about putting some back in it. And then I was supposed to tell you to make sure we roll it over. You said to mention that.
So the capital acquisition trust, what we'll do is any cash that's remaining in there, we'll just rebudget. We might budget high, but I think there's going to be some projects that won't get done this year, so we should have some money left in there, and then we'll roll that forward and then just start paying for all of that in this budget moving forward.
Okay.
Kind of like we do for the jail.
Okay. I read that Idaho Power's gonna have a small increase in their rates, so I did put a little bit of a bump in that. And the rest, I think, was just the village taking over the utility payments. And I was just I took what he has paid and kind of took my best guess at it.
I think we talked about him able to cover those.
Yeah.
We'll just highlight it and figure it out.
Okay. I wanted to make sure it was in somebody's.
However, depending on the completion date for the YDC building, if that's going to be done in FY25, we need to figure out where to pay those.
Okay.
So I have a note on that. If it's going to be up there, probably better to have Scott pay those,
Okay. That's good thinking.
but cleaning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good
new building.
thinking.
Toilet paper.
I forgot we're having new buildings sprout up. It's gonna be close if it's gonna be an FY25, but it could be. Okay.
So if you get dates, and I guess we're still in procurement, but,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Just got that drawing from Shanda.
Yeah.
Look good.
Yeah, that was
I like
really
it.
good. I'm excited. But yeah, thank you, Christy Clauser. That's the only thing I changed on them from last year.
Any questions?
Maybe you said something about this, building repairs.
Yeah.
It's 70K to 220,000, and it says 120K building acquisition, and then 100K building repairs.
So what we should do is we need to change that from 120 building acquisition, we need to change that to building projects. And basically, right now, Dan has a trust fund, that money had been rolled forward, or rolled into there a couple years ago. He's been using that for miscellaneous projects. So the juvenile remodel that they did, that's how he paid for it. That money's gonna be gone potentially early next year. So in order to continue to update buildings and do little projects like that, we're gonna need to start budgeting for that in here.
Okay, so that's what this is. So this
Yes.
would be new money that's not coming out of a trust or
Right.
something else. This would be a taxpayer.
Honestly, I think we could probably do reserves,
Oh, yeah?
just simply because you're probably not gonna need that dollar amount forever. And it would be on a as funding is available basis. But hopefully we can fund it for a few years and then.
Through
decom-
reserves.
Through reserves, and be caught up, and then be able to put that at just a maintenance level instead of a,
Big chunks.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
We do the same thing in the jail. They've had some big things come up, but then at some point, it will just be upkeep.
Okay, I don't have any other questions.
Sorry, I should have worded that differently, but I knew you would know.
You're good. Do you have cleaning for the village? Is it built in here? He's paying it, right?
He's paying it, yeah.
Okay, and you're planning on that forward too?
The discussions I had with him is he would keep paying cleaning, but he wanted me to pay utilities. And it's been a minute, so it could have changed, but.
You're good. I just
Okay.
highlighted all of those so that we can clarify if he wants to do it once and for all. But I just wanted to make sure I had that cleaning chunk
Yeah.
addressed as well.
Yeah.
But if he's covering it, I'll make that note.
Okay.
And that's something we'll have to, how do they clean up here now? The school,
They do it themselves.
and so
Yeah.
will that be the same intent?
That's on my list.
Yeah. I
To
think
look
so.
at.
I remember Matt saying the same thing, that
Yeah.
it would be the same.
I offered, and then it's like one of their chores. Like they didn't want us up there cleaning up here, but
Mhm. I think it'll be, I
Well,
think it's the intent to be the same.
But maybe they can.
I think we need to maybe look at that a little closer too, because there might be a little more outside maintenance up there,
That's true.
mowing, whatever.
Right.
And, I mean, we could pick that up with Scott too, but in the combination of things with that new facility, parking lot will be, that will be good for a year or two, but it's something that we'll
yeah.
have to look at in the future too.
And honestly, what we can do, because we don't know if that building will be done, if we decide to budget a chunk of money for project overages, we can maybe cover the utilities and some of those things out of that for the first year, since we're not sure if it's even gonna be done by September.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
that works.
Thank you. Okay.
All right,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, looks like we're gonna go to the ambulance. Thanks for being here early. Let's see if we can get the auditor here early. Wasn't even listening.
Page 42.
You wasn't even listening.
And where was it?
See if we can get the auditor here early too. You're after these guys.
I don't know. They might be.
Challenge. Go ahead and introduce yourselves and
All right, good afternoon, Commissioners. Ron Ahern, Bannock County Ambulance District, here with Autumn Baker, our Executive Assistant for the 2025 budget. So I guess we'll just kind of start at the top with the contract amount. We did build our budget similar to the way the city built theirs this year, with a 3.5% increase to cover operating expense increases, things such as fuel, medical supplies, tires, parts, as well as labor increases. That comes to $4,472,677. This year, we are again trying to project for how we might look at expansion of the service. And so we did include $400,000 there. And that would be for a partial year's staffing in McCammon to bring advanced life support services to that area. I believe there are some opportunities to move forward with funding for that. The past 2 years, we have had a pretty substantial fund balance in the contract, and we're hoping to have that again this year. I think if we look at the fund balance as well as potentially some additional monies, there are some programs that are coming online this year, the ground emergency medical transport that I've talked to you about. Those estimates are still pretty fuzzy, and I sent Christy some information that we got from one of the consultants that's working with the state to develop their program. And right now, it could be anywhere from a very conservative estimate of $30,000 a year to what they call a conservative estimate of $220,000 a year. So we think that there are some opportunities there moving forward that could lead to some staffing opportunities.
So are you proposing using fund balance for ongoing costs?
Well, we've had fund balance for the previous 2 years, and I think moving forward, we're comfortable that we've been running a very tight budget, being very fiscally responsible, and we feel like 2 years ago last year was the first year of this new company coming in. We had previously, that does ambulance transfers. So we had previously included money in our budget for overtime to do these ambulance transfers. We're no longer doing those, and so that overtime money is in our budget, but we're not executing it. The flip side of that is because we're not doing those transfers, we will lose some revenue. But our call volume has continued to climb, and so I think our revenues have remained stable, and we're consistently over or hitting our revenue targets. So.
But we can't use fund balance for ongoing costs. Just to be clear, that's setting yourself up for failure. Now, if we know revenues are going to come in, then we can utilize those. But if we increase the contract for 2 years based on fund balance, and then that fund balance is gone, then we'd have to reduce the contract back down to meet the revenues.
Yeah.
So I would just caution the board on using reserves for committed ongoing costs. We don't do that in any other funds. Now, if the budget could be reduced because we're not using dollars and absorbed within that, that's perfect.
It's kind of what we had anticipated, is seeing where we end up at the end of this year, and if we are on track with how we've been executing the budget and still achieving our goals, then we feel that would be money that could be applied to expansion of the service.
And potentially that could, I've got revenue and expenditures as of May 31st, and expenditures were only 2.6 million, and we've already, of the payments that we should make through May, that's 3.2. So you guys are conservative in your spendings. So there could be room within here to absorb that might allow for all of that, unless you get a few workers' comp cases or overtime situations that need.
We are coming into summer, but we're not anticipating any large expenditures. You know, we feel like we're executing the budget conservatively and to be fiscally responsible with an eye towards expansion in the future.
I just mean the unknowns you can't control.
Yeah, those do happen. So. Do you want me to go on to capital, or?
Go ahead.
Yep,
Okay.
let's do it.
We do have a pretty good capital ask this year. We have a grant that we're waiting to hear from right now. I'll just start with the top of our capital list. We did apply for an Assistance to Firefighters grant for four transport ventilators. These are required medical equipment on ambulances that do respirations for intubated patients. We also do CPAP and BiPAP. If we were awarded the grant, $8,407 would be the county's match. However, our current units are no longer being manufactured or serviced, and these units that we propose getting are a much better device, and we would advocate for purchasing those even if we are not awarded the grant. We also have submitted for a new ambulance this year. We did apply for a grant through Idaho EMS, and we've been very successful on that grant in the past. If the total cost for the ambulance is $307,000, if the grant is awarded, $208,000 of that would be covered under the grant, and the remaining $98,000 would be the county's match. We are proposing to include the full $307,000, as we would need to prepay for that ambulance and then be reimbursed by the grant. And then also, it would be, if we were not awarded the grant, then we could have a discussion on whether or not we want to actually fund an ambulance through our capital expenses. About 16 years ago, we started using automated cots and loading devices into our ambulances, and those have significantly decreased injuries of our personnel. Those devices are now standard equipment when we spec out an ambulance, but we're seeing some age in that fleet. And so this year, we have 12 total units in service. This year, we've proposed replacing 5 of those. One of those could go into the new ambulance if we're awarded that, or we could replace 5 of the existing units if we do not execute a new ambulance. Many of them the cots are about 16 years old and the loaders are about 12 years old, and the maintenance cost is increasing. We feel like we've stretched the life of those about as far as we can, and that's something that will replace a few a year moving forward. We have 1 Zoll cardiac monitor. This would be to go in the new ambulance if we do execute that. That's $64,000. And then as we look at the McCammon station and the need to potentially outfit that to be operational, we've included $10,000 in the capital line for beds, computers, appliances, things like that.
Questions? Comments?
You said you had 16 of those cots? and
We
loaders?
have 12.
12 of them.
Some of them are 16 years old.
16 years
Yeah,
old.
and I do have a spreadsheet showing the age of those if you're interested.
One thing on the grants is the AFG usually doesn't notify us until late in the year, so we may not hear until October, November on the ventilators. And then Idaho EMS tends to be a little quicker on that. We usually hear from them in August to September, so just so that you have an idea of when we might have a decision on those grants.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
thank you very much.
For your time.
Let's see.
Page 1.
What?
Page 1.
Page 1, because you're number 1.
Yes.
Jason is, yes, he is.
No, she is.
Should I lower those two?
In hindsight, yes. Ambulance is one that you never know how long it's gonna take, so, and same thing with maintenance.
Yeah. Both of those could take an hour and they could take 5 minutes, just like that. So, it's all right, they're coming.
Next year, 15 minutes will be okay?
Yeah,
What's that?
Do you wanna adjust ambulance and maintenance next year to 15 minutes?
I think so.
Okay.
Well, everybody. I mean, honestly,
Yeah,
It's
really.
been quick this year. Like,
It's been really quick.
there's
Well, I
only,
think it's-
there's only 2 that we've had to, 3 that we've had to
Right.
push along.
I think that, we've been doing it this way for 5 years now. And I think people are kind of in the routine and the rhythm, and it's going quick.
The thing is, you don't have to talk except with some people that seem to want to do that, line by line.
Right? It's just,
We only need to know if there's a big change, one way or another.
right?
Like these $100, well, we're putting $100, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want me to start on mine and then when?
Yeah,
Frank-
and then when they get here, they can,
Okay. Christy, this sounds funny on this side.
Yeah.
Christy Clauser, comptroller for the auditor's budget. We really did not make any significant changes within hours. Some of the first line expenses, when you go to B budget, some of those are, it's kind of a hybrid between the clerk and recorder and elections, but most of ours are on the second page. If you go down to 1101, wait, 110, 101, 12, so look for the suffix ending 12. We've just got our standard office supplies, operating supplies. A lot of those things just vary on other departments and the needs that we have to provide support for. Number of invoices we pay, number of checks we cut, process, all of that just kind of varies on everything that happens. The only thing I kind of took down was education. I took that down from 23 to 20. Education covers our PACE agreement with Tyler, which is about $6,000. We have gotten rid of the Thompson grants, which was a resource for the grants. Nancy and Mandy have found that it's easier just to join the Grant Professionals Association, and that's fairly minimal, but we also wanted to leave room for some grant trainings. If needed, we pay for Nancy out of that line, so it's Nancy, Mandy, and then if there's any grant stuff that I need to be caught up on, then I'll attend those. IAC, when I go to those, if there's ever any timekeeping trainings. And then I have a separate line item that I track all of the GASB trainings, so when I go to GFOA, I pay that out of there. We've just always tracked it separate so that we can see what that separate training costs. And then we have 1,300 in Certificate of Excellence. We have so far only submitted the financials. Our budget book hasn't been ready for the last 2 years, and as much as I would love to keep that one up, the financials are the one that actually gives the county benefit if we have that certificate, if we were to ever go to bond for something that's supposed to provide a discount on our bond rating. So we want to keep that one for sure. For clout, I'll get back to doing the budget book just for bragging rights, but at this point, time hasn't allowed. So our budget's pretty simple.
Okay,
Are
We
we
did
talking,
get-
moving on to elections now, or what?
Yep, they're on their way.
So there was one.
I thought you were just gonna talk about it.
Oh,
Julie's gonna come talk about a couple things,
We did get
and
rid
Carrie's
of
gonna come talk.
the software support line. That was what we paid lease query out of. It's in the top part, it's under 42820. It was $4,200. Lease query was used to track all of our leases. It really wasn't providing us what we needed, so Whitfleet took over some of that. And for FY24, I'm hoping to get a little bit of time, and the city of Pocatello shared with me the spreadsheet that they use. Bonnie emailed me that on Monday when she got back from conference, and I'm going to try and use it to do all of our lease reporting, since we really only have the sheriff, landfill, road and bridge for heavy equipment, and then a couple on the other side.
Okay.
I drug on as long as I could. Now it's your turn.
Okay.
please introduce yourself.
Carrie Povey, Chief Deputy Clerk.
So go line by line.
All right.
Excuse me.
Every dollar,
I'm like,
every dollar.
mine's
increase
really
or
easy,
decrease.
so there's that.
And speak really quietly for John.
I'm not hangry like I was yesterday, John.
Got it both barrels there.
That's right.
No, just hit the big highlights, the couple of things that we need to talk to. And we do
Okay.
want to go into an executive session on this one to
Okay.
talk about personnel.
Yeah, when I'm done. So my budget for the most part stayed the same. I have for document archiving and storage, I increased that last year for a project to upload all of our old microfilm images into our new EO recording software. So that line item increased last year. Unfortunately, I have not been able to get that project completed. I'm still trying to get it worked out and get it done this fiscal year, but I wasn't confident that it's going to get done, so I just kept that line the same. In the event we didn't get it completed by this fiscal year, then I would have the money to do it next fiscal year. So in the event that I actually happen to get that project completed, that will go down significantly. I think it was $4,500 is what I increased it last year, and I'm just requesting that it remain the same. I have a one-time big expense. I'm requesting $5,000 for a plat filing cabinet. Our plats right now, there's really no great storage option for it. They're just stuck on top of each other on a shelf. And so we're hoping that by getting that plat storage container, we can organize them and actually have them so that if we needed to find one, we could actually find it.
Thanks for running.
And then the other one, I only increased it on education for myself. I increased it an additional $200. That request is to cover a PREA membership that I would like to get involved in. A bunch of the other counties are already members. They've talked about how great it is, what it is. It's a Property Records Industry Association, so it goes over a lot of like recording information for property and that type of thing. And so I'm not sure what the membership fee is. It's based on our population, so I just took a guess on what the other counties were paying for their portion. I did increase our operating supplies by a couple thousand just because of the percentages. That's for our on-base and Integra maintenance and Municode. Just with the increases that they do every year, I just assumed that it would go up a little bit. So I increased that 2,000 just to make sure we had enough money in there budgeted to cover those annual costs. And that's it for me.
Let's talk about, even though it's an older bid, the thing that we didn't put in here that has come up since Carrie put this budget request in. There is a service that we can subscribe to. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So within our Eagle recording software, there's a separate module in a sense that it's called Fraud Alert. And so people can request to sign up. And so if anything is recorded under their name or under their property, it will alert them and notify them. I got a quote for it last year, and I requested an updated one to see what the number was, but they didn't get it to me. And I think, if I remember right, I should have looked at that. I want to say it was like $7,500 was a one-time fee, and then the annual maintenance would be $800 a year. I know that it came up in the last Clerks and Commissioners Conference that Jason was in. Some other counties are doing that just to kind of help their constituents, give them a peace of mind, you know, with all the fraud and everything going out there and people thinking they can take their property and all of that. So it's something that I didn't put in
Well,
here.
I found that today on the Commissioner's report. Office 365, E. Moser.
Oh.
It was under my name. $3,000.
Interesting.
Yep, everyone knows it.
Anyway, so that's not, that I did not put that in my request. That I kind of dropped it off the radar last year after I got the quote, and then I didn't have a new number, so I didn't put it in the request, but Jason asked me to get an updated request, and that might be something that we're going to look at, but like I said, it's not
How much
in my
did you say
budget
that
request.
cost?
I think, if I'm remembering right, it's right around $7,500 for the upfront cost and implementation and all that, and then after we get the service, then it's only $800 annual maintenance.
And this would protect, or at least add some degree of protection to every taxpayer of Bannock County?
No, basically what it does is it's, I could go in and I could sign up with my email address and request notifications that if there's anything that's recorded under my name or under my property, it will send you an email notification.
So who gets to use this?
Any property
Anybody.
owner.
Yeah, so it could
Yeah,
potentially.
Yeah, potentially, it's
Oh,
every property.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, every property owner
Yeah.
that signs up
Yeah.
will have this level of fraud
If
protection.
it's recorded in the county,
Yep.
they
Right.
get a notice.
Yep.
Right, if they sign up, yeah. And it's a free service to them. It doesn't cost them any money. They can just sign up and get the alerts.
The county, there are a couple different vendors that do this service, but with Eagle Recording, it'll be the most fluid because that's who we use. But they have all been really happy with the service, and the population, the constituents have really, really liked it.
So put it in there for the
Yeah,
first
so that's
recommendation.
kind of what we're thinking. We'll get
Once I
the
get the
exact
actual
number,
hard numbers.
and I think we'll put it in the clerk's recommendation so we can talk about it more.
The $7,500 would be one-time reserve money. And then
Oh,
would just
so
be
it doesn't cost the taxpayer
It would
anything?
just be the $800 that would cost the taxpayer.
You knew what I was thinking. I didn't
Yep.
even have to say anything, so.
I was talking more like of a subscription fee, like, that's what I meant when I said it doesn't cost them money.
Yeah.
As in, they don't actually have to pay like a subscription fee to
No,
get the
I
service.
understood what you meant.
Okay.
We have our own private communication.
Okay. I'm like, sorry, I probably didn't say that appropriately.
John looks at everything of if it's gonna cost the taxpayers, if it's gonna raise taxes.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay. We want to do her first and
Yeah,
then we
let's
can
do
go
that.
in executive session? Okay.
so if you look at page 2, and then start with the back extension of the fund is gonna be 11. These are gonna be Julie's lines.
Please introduce yourself and
Julie
There you
Hancock,
go.
Bannock County Elections Administrator. Sorry, I was late.
perfect.
Well, technically, you're still a half an hour
Well,
early.
That's what I was kind of thinking too. I didn't do anything with payroll, but I did, with individuals, but I did reduce the 4,800 line extra elections help by 31,000. That bringing on these e-poll books has made it so our temp workers won't work as long, won't put in as many hours. And then I also took out $1,000, I think, out of the overtime. So I took 30,000 out of the extra help, and then the 4,900 overtime, I took $1,000 out of that also, with 2 elections a year now.
That's all attributable to the poll books, or is it some of it because you have less elections?
Well, yeah, less elections and the e-poll book. Yeah, it's saving us a ton in labor to be able to get a voter history report out within 15, 20 days of the election instead of in a primary 3 months. So,
And that
Well
is,
spent.
that is attributable to the e-poll books.
All of it?
that is, yeah.
That portion of it, yeah.
$30,000?
Not the
Well,
whole 30,000,
Yeah,
but.
probably not the whole 30,000. I'd say a good 20,000 of it probably.
Well,
Mhm.
okay.
Pretty significant. And then, where does yours start at, Christie? 42,000?
Yeah.
42,000?
Yeah,
Whatever.
for your operating, or office supplies.
Took 8,000 out of, 800 out of that account, so reduced it. Operating supplies kept the same. Repairs and maintenance, office equipment kept the same. Postage, reduced it by 6,000. Travel increased and education increased for conferences in Boise. Brandy's starting to participate a little bit in those, so if we're sending 2 people, thought we'd bump that up a little bit. First net for the hot spots or the e-poll books, 6,500 for the year. I don't know why there's 0 in that lease and elections. I'm not sure what I was thinking. That's should have 5,000 in it for our maintenance agreement for the folding machine, the photocopier, and the envelope opener.
The slicer, yeah.
Those are maintenance agreements, those? So those need to be in
Oh.
432.
In which one?
43200, so we'll just add 5,000 there.
Oh, repairs and maintenance. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so that line can go away, the lease elections one?
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
So do you have to add 5,000 to
Well,
that, or is the
no.
5,000 in there gonna cover
I
it?
think the 5,000 in there's gonna cover that. I was probably thinking both lines.
Oh, okay.
So I think we don't need 10 in there, just 5.
Okay.
Sorry about that. And then election supplies reduced by 5,000. Precinct labor reduced by 30,000. Election ballots reduced by 80. Elections expense, well, I put more in there, but I'm not sure why. What did we talk about? Sometimes things come up that are unexpected, the machines are timestamp or breaks, those things are expensive.
It's just a couple thousand.
So, okay. Meals and mileage reduced
There's
by
your offset.
2. Oh, there you go. There you go. Advertising reduced by 4, is that 4?
Yeah.
And then the scanners and express votes, I had to juggle those a little bit because I had the wrong amounts. Because we had bought a new machine, and so I didn't expect that in the budget to add that maintenance to it. And then we bought another 10 express votes And so, but that, according to the last bills we got, that should cover it, those two amounts. So an overall reduction of A budget 31,000 and B budget 66,000. Sounds about right,
Mhm.
unless we have an emergency election. It was a lot easier budgeting this time for 2 guaranteed, because that one year we had 5 elections in 1 year with the mayoral runoff.
Mhm.
So this is gonna be a little bit easier, so.
Yep.
So what if you do have an runoff
Emergency.
or-
Yeah, we'll have to, so next year when I do the budget, I'll budget for the runoff. The city, Pocatello is the only one of the only ones in the state actually with that still on their books.
Okay.
I think there's 5 or 6 of them in the state, but I'll budget for them because I have to build a budget for the city also so they can budget for it, because if we go into a runoff, they pay for it, but we have to front the money.
Okay.
But
So-
that wouldn't be till after the budget year is over.
Right.
It'll
Yeah,
be
next November.
2026 fiscal year.
When was the runoff last time? What month was that? I can't even remember.
November, well, you
Yeah.
have 30 days.
We had the
to do
regular
it.
election and
Yeah.
then,
Yep.
You have 30 days to do it, so December 3rd.
oh, gotcha. Okay.
It was my fault, remember?
Yeah, it was. Way to leave us, Carrie. I think that's it, unless there's any questions.
Amazing,
Unless you want us to add more money in.
amazing, thank you.
Yeah.
Those e-poll books made a big difference.
Yeah, they really did. And then, I mean, with all of that happening in 1 year with the e-poll books and legislation taking away 2 elections, it's just, I mean, I feel a little bad for the schools. Maybe they'll have a more difficult time passing, but for as far as
Don't
But they're getting
taxpayers'
some-
money
yeah.
and us, we can take more time off now too, so. Don't feel bad, is that what you guys said? Don't feel
No,
bad.
I don't feel bad about it.
Okay, then I don't either. They're just kids.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can I just for 2 seconds before you go into your executive? I'm gonna put these invoices on your desk.
Okay.
I got one for surety for notary, and can I disregard it?
Yep, you can disregard that.
All right.
You want me to just take them?
Oh. Sure. Please. Okay, thanks for your time.
I guess.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, John?
All right, Mr. Chairman, I move that we enter into executive session under Idaho Code 742061, A and B, to consider personnel matters.